I'll take them all. Fred, would you look in the wallet and make sure there are no other credit cards there, please? Thank you.
The one with my...
Quiet. Is your name Jason?
Yeah.
Yes would be the answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I have one credit card that's yours, and I have 3 credit cards that are your sister's. That would be you.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. And one is a debit card.
But the one...
Just a second. One is a debit card. Now, I don't use this kind of stuff, but wouldn't a debit card presuppose that you have a checking account that goes with it, Bird? That's the general idea. You don't take this money out of, a chicken coop. You take it out of a bank, right?
The only reason why I had that credit card in there is because I lost my ID and it's got my picture on it, and it was an old banking account that I closed in North Carolina.
So why didn't you rip it up?
Because I have to have it for my picture to come out here
Oh,
to
let's
fly.
go. U.S. Airways, Dividend Miles, Platinum, and Liberty Union. What's Liberty Union?
It's a prepaid credit card. All them credit cards are prepaid.
Okay,
And
so a prepaid credit card doesn't mean you have to pay the bill?
No, it means you put money on it to have the money on your card. They don't give you credit. You just put the money on it.
And what about wired plastic?
That's a prepaid. You have to put money on it. It's just a way, Sue, if you want to buy an airplane ticket or rent a hotel, you can do it. It's prepaid. You don't have to have credit. You just...
And how do you pay for the...
You put it on Western Union, and then the money's there for you to use it to do things like that
You
with it.
send them the cash into them to Western Union?
Yes, ma'am. It's prepaid.
Never heard of anything like this in my life. You have a bank account?
No, ma'am.
What's the name of the company you worked for who sent you this check?
Extreme Web Design is the name of the company that I own. I'm the only person that works there.
I didn't ask you that. I said, what is the name of the company who wrote you this check?
Carlton's Catering Service.
Where are they located?
They're in UK is where it came from. But he said he was opening up a business in Cancun, Mexico, and requested for me to build him a website, 12 pages. And then after I had gotten the money, actually...
Listen to me very carefully, sir. They're all a bunch of scammers. Him and her and the brother. You got scammed out of $6,000. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Her excuse is he ran off for $3,500. I don't believe it. They scammed you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How much money do you give Mr. Michael for your 4 children every week?
Don't get full every week.
Outrageous, sir. You are an outrage.
And later today,
She called me and said, I need to get my act together. I want to come back. I'm going to join AA. I said, okay, we can make this work.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Daniel Michael claims former friend Talena Bush had him cash a counterfeit check for $6,000.
If he deserted his 4 children and is not parenting his 4 children, doing the most dishonest thing that a person can do, make children and then desert them, why do you think he would be honest with you?
You know, he's just really been trying, and like I said, he comes around.
He's been trying? I can look at him and tell how hard he's been trying. Where do you work?
I work for Cox Drywall.
Stand up.
I work every day.
Good. How much? That's great. How much money do you earn?
14 an hour.
How much money do you take home a week?
After taxes, probably 400.
And who do you live with? Oh, it's not an answer.
A fiance, 2 children.
Who's the fiance?
Misty.
Who is she?
It's a friend.
Wasn't your girlfriend?
No, she wasn't my girlfriend.
So you live with Misty?
In business together.
You're in business with her?
I used to be her errand. Used to run errands for us, what I did.
How much money do you give Mr. Michael for your 4 children every week?
You don't give it to him every week.
Why not?
Just don't.
Why?
I don't know.
Outrageous, sir. You are an outrage.
Yeah, I'm an outrage.
You're an outrage. Sit down. Give her back this check. Please. Can't look at her anymore. Him either. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all, sir. Do me a favor. Do me a favor. Keep your hard-earned money in the bank where you are going to need it for these children. Understand? Because you're not going to get any help from him. Thank you. That's all.
My judge will step out.
I didn't scam Dan.
I tried to lend them money in good faith and got taken for it.
I basically was scammed myself.
If she got scammed by a check or not, I honestly don't know.
Well, I didn't get the other $3,500. Dan gave that to Petey, and then he ran off with
I
it.
wish I did get $3,500. Marion, she lying.
It was a bad check. She didn't know about it, and she got took from him. He hustled her.
They're together. They're the scam artists.
I felt bad for Dan, yes.
I'm not going to cash people's checks anymore. You learn from your mistakes.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Martino Napolitano versus Di Simone. Step forward, please.
Sharon Martino Napolitano is suing the mother of her daughter's boyfriend, Deborah Di Simone, for damage caused to her Toyota Camry while the car was in her possession.
You two lovely ladies are neighbors, and you each have a child. You have a girl. You have a boy. They're dating each other.
Yes.
This is your complaint. You allowed your daughter, this young lady right here, to use your car. She was using your car one day to take Miss Di Simone around to do some chores.
Correct.
And that wouldn't have bothered you necessarily, because she's the mother of the boyfriend, right? But then Miss Di Simone asked if she could borrow the car herself, because she wanted to go food shopping, right?
Yes, to pick up a couple items.
And your daughter allowed her to drive the car. The car was damaged. You want Miss Di Simone to pay for the damage to the car.
Absolutely.
Miss Di Simone says she took the car, went into Food Town. While she was in Food Town, somebody must have hit your car,
Correct.
right?
That is correct.
So it's not her fault. That's what you're saying.
That's correct.
We'll see. What year is your car?
It's a 1995 Camry.
How long have you had it?
Approximately a year.
So you bought it secondhand.
Yes, ma'am.
How many accidents have you had?
I've had one other one where I was hit from behind at a red light.
So you had a rear end damage to the car.
Mm.
Bumper? Or
Bumper.
Bumper. Only the bumper.
Only the bumper.
Is the car fixed?
No.
On September 6th, what kind of damage was done to your car?
It would be the right quarter panel.
Do you have a photograph?
Absolutely.
I'd like to see it.
Here's before and after.
Ooh. That's a bad one. Okay. So, you still dating each other?
Yeah.
Okay, this is not going to be painful. Believe me. We're going to use the but-for rule, Miss Di Simone. But for the fact that you borrowed the car and took it to Food Town to go shopping, this wouldn't have happened. Unfortunately, you took the car. You didn't have her permission to drive the car. You had her daughter's permission to drive the car.
Actually, there was a couple things that happened prior to that. While I was in the car with her daughter, it was a very rainy day. Her daughter was driving the car. The car was hydroplaning a lot, and she became very nervous and asked if she pulled over if I would drive. I said, no problem, if it's safer. We completed our mission. We did proceed home. Asked if she didn't mind if I ran back out to just pick up a couple items at the Food Town. That's when all that began, and the police report states differently, if you'd like to see it, that he even stated, the police officer, that he saw prior damage on the car.
You mean this prior damage?
No, other damage.
We're not talking about other damage. We're talking about this damage.
But she's saying that there was only damage to the bumper, and according to this, it states that there was...
What difference does it make? This damage was not on the car, madam, when you borrowed it.
No.
That's all I'm
I
talking
don't
about.
believe so.
I am only talking about, well, you don't miss this damage.
No, ma'am.
No, you don't have to speak. It was going to be easy. Now it's not so easy. For the fact that you borrowed the car, took it to Food Town, the car would have been parked in her driveway. If the car was parked in her driveway, the same driver that hit her car from Food Town would have had to look for it.
Can I please...
Shut up. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
And she's taking your word for the fact that you don't know how this accident happened. But it looks as if somebody hit your car. If she had hit somebody else's car, unless she, I don't know how you can contort yourself to do this kind of a damage to somebody else's car. But you had the car, but for the fact that you borrowed the car, you wouldn't have had this kind of damage.
Correct.
This damage. Good. Then we don't have a problem. What do you want?
Okay. She just got done stating that the car was hydroplaning earlier, okay?
It doesn't make any difference.
Excuse me. They made it home safely. She has a Jeep Cherokee parked in the same parking lot that she could have used her own vehicle to go to the store. There was no reason to take my little car back out.
Let me ask you this question. Now you're getting angry, and you already won. So you have to go, find your center.
I've been trying to do a lot of it. I've been trying to find a lot of my center.
And say, it's over.
But I would have never asked her son to use her car.
Listen to me. It's a car. She's responsible. Done. Romeo and Juliet here, gonna leave here happy. I suggest you do the same. How much did it cost to fix your car?
The estimate is $1687.98.
That's a pretty cheap estimate for this kind of damage.
I think so.
It is. Anything else? Romeo, Juliet. Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $1687.98. Thank you. That's
I wish I could have presented some more of my facts, but justice was on. I'm glad it's over.
Well, I don't know what other evidence that she could have presented, but I think she would have been just as upset, if not even more, and we would still be here today.
No hard feelings.
I don't think that we'd be barring each other's cars.
He's my love. He's my Romeo.
She's my Juliet, you know?
21-year-old Jonathan Dufty is suing his ex-girlfriend, 22-year-old Shayna Correo, for vet bills and for her share of a vacation in San Diego.
That's case number 279 on the calendar in the matter of Dufty versus Correo. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Mr. Dufty, this used to be your girlfriend, and you lived together for a while. You broke up, and you say that she owes you for expenses of a joint dog, including the gas to go and get it, and the vet bills, etc.
Yep.
And a vacation that you took some time ago, she was supposed to pay for half, and she never did. Miss Correo, your defense is grow up. Get over it. It's over. Mr. Dufty, how long did you and Miss Correo live together?
About 5 or 6 months.
Did you move into her apartment? She moved into your
She
apartment?
moved into my house with me and my mother.
How long had you known her before she moved in?
We were dating about 2 months prior to that.
Why did you move into his mother's house?
Just to be together. We were supposed to move upstairs to our own apartment.
But you never did.
Briefly, but not for long.
Now, you moved in what month?
The end of March.
And when did you have this burning desire to get a pet together?
I would have to say the end of that month.
Why?
I've always wanted one. She had always wanted one. I figured it'd be good to go into it together.
So, you went and bought this boxer puppy, and you had to travel to get it.
Yep.
How much did it cost?
It was about $200 in gas to get to Pennsylvania and back.
I didn't ask you how much the gas was. I asked you how much the pet was.
Oh, sorry, $550.
And then there were vet bills.
Correct.
How much were the vet bills?
I have $796 on my credit card.
And who took the dog when you split up?
Shayna did.
Do you want the dog back?
No.
You're perfectly happy with her having the dog.
Well, it's been there for a while now.
So you're
So
perfectly
it's
happy with that?
comfortable there. Yeah.
Good. Under what theory, Mr. Dufty, under what theory do you think a court is going to give you the vet bills back?
Well, I don't have the dog anymore. She took the dog without even attempting to ask me if I wanted it, so I had no choice. She just took the dog. I have all this money invested into the dog and vet bills, and I have no dog to
Well,
show
when
for
you
it.
weren't getting along, according to what I read in the complaint and the answer, she said, I'm going to my mother's house to cool off for the weekend. She left you a note. She took the dog with her. And you decided you had had enough of her, period, so you told her not to bother to come back. Right?
I
Right?
ended the relationship.
Now, when you called her and told her, you emailed her, how did you get the message across to her to tell her that you didn't want her to come back?
It was text messaging over the phone, which is not the way I wanted it done.
Just a minute. You mean text messaging each
Yeah.
other back and forth. So you said to her, don't bother to come back.
Well, she asked me what I wanted to do. I said, I don't see this going anywhere.
I'll get to you in a minute. So, now you say, I don't see this going anywhere, don't bother to come back.
Right.
Did you say, bring my dog back?
That wasn't...
Did you
No,
say,
not at
bring
that
my
time.
dog back?
No.
When did you say, where's my dog?
About a week later.
Well, what did you think was going to happen to the dog in the 2 weeks now that it's been with defendant?
I tried to talk to her about what was going to happen because she still owed me the money for the vacation. We didn't know what was going on with the dog. She refused to talk to me and told me that I needed to speak to her mother about any problems I had.
Did you?
Yes, and her mother told me that I had to bring her to court to settle any problems.
Now, Mr. Dufty, let me take care of the first part of your problem. Let's take care of the dog.
All right.
You get nothing for the dog.
Okay.
You lived together, you played house together, you bought this puppy together. That's what sometimes young, stupid people do. They say, well, we're not going to have a child together right now. We're going to get a pet together. Foolishness. There was no agreement. There was no contract. There was no
Right.
contract with the defendant whatsoever.
Correct.
That should you separate, she was going to keep the dog, but she would reimburse you for the vet bills. It's contract.
Right. Well, I never had a choice to even have
Oh,
an
certainly you
option
had
to keep the dog.
Certainly you had a
Because I
choice,
was
sir.
at
You
work.
didn't want the dog. When you text messaged her for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
you said, don't bother to come home, but by the way, I paid for the vet bills for the dog, I paid for the gas to get there to purchase the dog, and I think it's only fair that I should have the dog back.
Right.
And she says, no, I want the dog. And you say, well, then let's amicably come up with a resolution with regard to that. That's one thing. But you didn't mention the dog at all.
Okay.
That's sort of an afterthought. In any event, you had no contract. There is no contract or
Right.
theory under which I find that the law is going to help you get these vet bills paid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it would really be no different if you purchased a car together, stupidly, in joint names, and the car needed repairs, and you paid for the repairs, and then you broke up, and she took the car.
Mm-hmm.
Gee, well, we purchased the car jointly, you know, so we're each going to get half the money, but I put in all the money to fix the car. There has to be some theory under which you're going to get that back, other than
Correct.
just juvenile stupidity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So far, you didn't say much. So far, you're a winner, right?
Correct.
You have the dog. You're taking care of the dog.
Correct.
Good. Now, let's get to the vacation. When did you take the vacation?
The vacation we took in the middle to the end of March.
May.
March 2000.
May.
May. Where did you go?
To San Diego.
Where were you working at the time, Mr. Dufty?
I was currently unemployed. I'd been laid off. I had another job lined up to
So you were
start.
unemployed. And where
Right.
were you working?
At a daycare in
How much did you earn?
$250 a week.
Why are you asking me? I don't work there.
$250.
Okay, so you were unemployed. You decided to take a vacation. That's always a good thing when you're unemployed to take a vacation. It clears your head, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Where were you going?
We went to San Diego to visit my family.
How long were you there?
12 days.
Who did you stay with?
My cousin and my uncle.
In their house.
Correct.
So let me hear the story, Mr. Dufty.
In the end of May, my cell phone contract was ending. So I was getting a new cell phone. She at the time needed to buy a new cell phone. So
No, I didn't.
So I decided that we'll get a cell phone contract together. We'll save money renewing a contract on buying her a new phone. At the same time, we were planning the vacation. She didn't have the money or amounts on credit cards to pay for the vacation. So I decided and made a deal with her that I will pay for the vacation if you pay for the cell phone bills until the amount equals up. And then when we ended the relationship,
Just a second. I want you to be quiet and not interrupt him again.
and then when I ended the relationship, she canceled my cell phone and stopped paying everything.
Had she paid the cell phone between May and September?
She paid it for 5 months.
Did you pay for the cell phone bill for 5 months?
6 months.
Why?
Because it was on my contract, under my name, and
Was
it
it
was
any
just
extra
easier.
for him?
Yes.
How much?
It was probably like $60 to $70 more a month.
What bills did Mr. Dufty pay for you?
No bills. He paid for the vacation, but there was no contract in saying that I would pay him back for the vacation.
How come you didn't pay for anything when you went?
Because
Look at me, don't look down there. How come you didn't pay for anything?
I didn't have the money to pay for a vacation like that.
Did you tell him that?
Yes.
What did he say?
He said he'd take care of it.
Excuse me, can I say something?
Sure. Stand up when you say something. You're his mother.
Okay. After she moved out, she said that it was an agreement between the two of them that he would pay for the trip to California and she would continue to pay the cell phone bill. That was an agreement they had made.
Who did she say that to?
She said it to me.
When?
It was a week after that she had moved out of the house when she came to get her meal. And she told me that he dumped her and she was not going to pay the cell phone bill anymore.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
There's no reason for me to pay for his cell phone, especially if he's going to threaten me.
Why did he threaten you if you didn't pay for it for 10 months?
And later today,
3 weeks after he purchases this car, he doesn't have a car and he doesn't have his girlfriend. How do you think he feels?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jonathan Dufty claims ex-girlfriend Shayna Correo owes for vet bills on a dog she kept after their breakup. Jonathan also says Shayna owes for half the cost of a vacation in San Diego.
Did you have a conversation with his mother about the vacation when you came to pick up your mail?
I did have a conversation with the cell phone because she had asked me why I shut off the cell phone.
And what did you say to her?
I said I shut it off because we are no longer a couple and there is no reason for me to pay for his cell phone, and especially if he's going to threaten me that I have to pay for it for 10 months so he can rack up my bill and then I have bad credit because I can't pay for that.
Why did he threaten you if you didn't pay for it for 10 months?
Because he said that if I didn't give him money for the vacation, then he's not going down to Verizon to get on his own contract. And he said that I should pay for 10 months worth of more cell phone bills to add up to the vacation that I owed him.
So what you're telling me is that you did not have an agreement before.
We never had an agreement.
But afterwards, he said you pay for half the vacation or pay for my phone.
Right.
I believe that. I believe it, Mr. Duffy. And I believe her when she said that her defense to this case is you got to grow up and you got to move on.
Your Honor?
No, listen to me. Listen to me. You went to San Diego to, according to you, visit your relatives. You stayed there. She was earning $250 a week. The likelihood of her spending $1,500 on a vacation is de minimis.
It wasn't $1,500, it was $1,200.
$1,200 on a vacation.
But I was unemployed at the time.
Is de minimis. Living with your moms.
Right.
Your case is dismissed, Mr. Duffy. You don't have a contract with her. You never had a contract with her. And the fact that it's over doesn't make it a contract.
It was an agreement before the relationship was ended.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
Thank you. That's all.
What's Chris? Chris, step out.
He was really out for money.
She was looking for a free ride.
I think he made up pretty good.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Atkins versus Penhollow. Step forward, please.
21-year-old Shanna Atkins is suing her ex-boyfriend, 22-year-old Andrew Penhollow, for intentionally denting the side of her car. Shanna claims Andrew was angry over their breakup.
Miss Atkins, this young man used to be your boyfriend. I assume he's not your boyfriend anymore. Is that right?
That's right.
You had an argument and claimed that after the argument he was a little intoxicated and damaged your car. You want him to pay for the car's repairs. Mr. Penhollow says that he was in fact angry at you at some point, but there was no way that he damaged your car. When was the vandalism to your car noticed by you?
It was May 5th. It was Cinco de Mayo. And it was right after I came outside. He was outside, wouldn't leave until I came to talk to him.
Okay, where did this happen?
At a friend's house in Everett, Washington.
Were you still dating on May 5th?
No, this was like a month after we had broken up.
Now, I gather from your complaint that you were at the friend's house for a party.
Yes.
He was not invited.
No.
So,
That's true.
how many people were at the party?
Roughly 20 to 30.
And what time did you arrive there?
About 9:30.
In the evening?
Yes.
What kind of car did you have?
2006 Scion TC.
Where did you park it?
It was on the street right outside of his house. He doesn't have a driveway.
But it was parked on the street. How far from the house?
Right in front of it.
Did the car have any damage when you parked it?
No, brand new. I just had gotten it a couple months earlier.
Okay. Now, at 9:30 when you got to the party, Mr. Penhollow was not there.
Correct.
When did you arrive, sir?
It was a little after 2 in the morning.
And where had you been just prior to that?
I was at a bar a little south of where she was.
What time did you get to the bar?
I was at the bar at like 10 o'clock.
So from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. you were drinking?
Yes.
Now I'd like you to tell me, Mr. Penhollow, how it came about that at 2 o'clock in the morning you went over to the party, because that you acknowledge in your answer that you went over to the party.
Yes, I definitely went over to the party.
How did you get there, sir? What prompted you to go over there? And I'd like you to look at me.
Okay.
Not the sky. The sky will not give you any answers, sir.
All right. What happened was I found out from a mutual friend of ours, who is no longer a mutual friend, but that she had cheated on me when we were together.
And you found that out on May 5th?
Yes.
That night while you were drinking?
Yes.
At the bar?
Yes.
Okay, so somebody told you that?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
And of course that got me angered. Tried to call her.
What'd you try to call her for? You weren't together, according to you, for a couple of weeks, according to her, for a month.
We're still friends, though. We were talking about almost every day. And so I found out where the party was, because I was invited earlier that night, until I had said something earlier when we talked to make her mad.
Well, what did you say?
I don't know. Some smart aleck comment.
Do you remember?
He called just belligerent, just angry, for no apparent reason. He had done this many times
You
before.
mean he called before 10 o'clock that night, before he left?
I don't know if it was before 10 o'clock. I think it was after I had been there for a couple hours. And
So he called you from the bar?
From his cell phone. I didn't
From
know
his cell
he
phone.
was
Well, he
at
was
the
at the bar
Yeah.
from 10 to 2. You got to the party at 9:30, so in all probability he was drinking and commiserating with himself about how badly he felt that you were no longer together. So, Mr. Penhollow, now we have a situation where somebody has told you something that upset you about Miss Atkins.
Yes.
And you wanted to go over and confront her.
Of course.
And you did go over, well, not of course.
Well, yeah.
Not of course.
I found this news out and I wanted it settled. So.
Why?
Why?
You think that it's a smart idea to settle a dispute, sir, at 2 o'clock in the morning after you've been drinking for 4 hours? You think that that's intelligent? Huh? You think that that's the optimum time to settle something and clear the air?
At the time.
Well, at the time, because your judgment is clouded because you were drinking for 4 hours, sir.
Possibly.
Not possibly. I mean, don't be foolish.
Yeah.
Good. That's what I like to hear. So now you go over to the party and it's 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
And when you got there, what happened, Mr. Penhallow?
Well, I found out that she was downstairs. I walked in, went downstairs, said some pretty mean things.
Said some mean things?
Yes.
Now, were those things that you would ordinarily have said had you not been drinking?
Yeah, probably. I was that mad.
So that you were angry as usual, but clouded judgment, impaired by alcohol?
Yes. So, I ended up getting kicked out of the party.
Okay, so you said some vile things to Miss Atkins in front of her friends. And who kicked you out of the party?
I guess it was the owner of the house. I don't know.
Did that make you feel better?
Not really.
Well, let me just a second. So now you're not feeling better than you were when you arrived because you didn't get it all out of your system because you got kicked out of the party.
Yeah.
Who went over with you to the party? Is not an answer.
No.
And how did you get there?
I took my roommate's car.
So you drove drunk?
Yes.
Okay. Did your roommate give you permission to take his car?
She did.
She did?
Yeah.
Where was she? Was she also drinking with you at the bar?
Yes.
And you said, give me the keys to your car, and she said, okay.
Yes.
Another genius.
Mm-hmm.
So where did you go, sir?
Where did I go? I went to the party.
And then you got kicked out. And
yeah.
What happened?
I got kicked out, and I was outside. And
what were you doing outside?
I was waiting because I was talking to the person on the other side of the fence because I wanted to talk to her. And so they finally came out, and I left.
Who finally came out?
She did, and she was all upset, and they're like, we don't want to talk to you. We don't, So I just basically gave them the finger and left.
Now, do you have photographs of your car?
Yes.
I'd like to see them. Do you have any witnesses who saw him around your car?
Yes. My friend
That would be this gentleman's right over here. Step up, sir. Tell me your name.
My name is Krishna Lingam.
You were at the party that night?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, tell me what you saw.
Well, as I got out of the house, I went outside, and then I looked outside, and he was across the fence, and then he told me to call Shan outside, and then told me that he damaged her car.
He told you?
Yeah.
What did he say?
He said that I put a dent on her car.
Okay. Who do you think dented her car, Mr. Penhallow?
I have no idea.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Penhallow?
I'm a barista.
A what?
A barista.
What is that?
Coffee. I make coffee.
Is that what they call it? A barista?
So I understand.
What?
So I understand.
Did you know that before? A barista?
Yeah. I do crosswords. I do crosswords.
I know. Do you want to be anything other than a barista, sir, when you grow up?
I want to actually own my own coffee shop.
Good. Coffee is better than booze, right?
It is.
Judged for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,575. Thank you very much. You may step out.
All right.
I found out she was cheating on me.
Kept having to bail him out of jail.
I don't know. I guess I just made her mad.
Possession of alcohol as a minor. I think he does have a problem with alcohol.
I don't know. She's crazy.
I'm glad it's done over. I'm very glad.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Laxon versus Laxon. Step forward, please.
Chris Laxon is suing her ex-husband, Henry Laxon, for vet bills he promised to pay when his cat Toes became ill. Henry says he wanted the cat euthanized.
Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Laxon. You mean you couldn't work this out? You had to come here?
Yes.
You two folks have been divorced for how long?
About 7 years.
And from what I read in the complaint and the answer, you have children together?
Yes.
You have shared custody of the children?
Yes.
That seems to work out fine.
Yes.
Perfect.
So that's a testament to your parenting and your ability to put the children's needs over your own.
Thank you.
So far correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Case is about the cat.
Yes.
Mr. Laxon, you had a cat for the children. How many children do you have?
I have 2 children, Your Honor.
How old are they?
Jonathan is 9 and Brittany is 8.
So 2 little kids. And I understand from the papers that they had a cat previously that died.
Yes, Your Honor.
When did that cat die?
Well, that cat died probably not too long before this one did, probably about February. We got it from the neighbor downstairs, and unfortunately it had been through some traumatic experiences previous to that. So it was just a matter of probably when, because the kid they were watching it actually drowned it, and they brought it back to life.
So it died in February.
Yes.
And you got another cat.
Yes.
That cat's name is?
This one's now named as Sugar.
And where did you get Sugar from?
We got her from the local pet shop.
When?
I would say about 2 to 3 months ago.
And then that cat got sick. Sugar got sick.
No, Sugar did not get sick, Your Honor. The one that got sick was actually Toes.
So that was a third cat.
Okay. Well,
Was
actually,
that a third cat? That was a third cat. So first you got one from a neighbor in February. That one died.
that is correct.
Then you got Sugar from a pet shop.
That was just recently.
I'm talking about the cat, sir, that is the subject of this case.
I understand that.
That's Toes.
Yes, Toes and Moonies we got.
You got Toes after the first cat died.
No, actually, we got Toes before the first cat did.
So you had Toes and then you got a second cat. The second cat died.
Okay. No, Toes and Mooney, Your Honor, was the very first cat that we had. When I moved to the apartment, we didn't have any pets. So Toes and Mooney I got as both kittens, okay? And they were doing really great. Then the neighbors downstairs was about to move. They couldn't take their cat with them. That was Mischief.
Mischief you took and Mischief died.
Correct, Your Honor.
Oh, Mischief died. And then Toes got sick?
Toes got sick probably about a month later.
And when Toes got sick, your former wife took the cat to the vet.
Yes.
And it was very expensive vet bill. She believes you should be responsible for the vet bill. And your defense is you told her that you weren't paying for the vet bill, and that you told her that she should have the cat put down. And she felt as if it was not a good idea to put the cat down since the children had already lost one pet within a relatively short period of time. She now has Toes.
Yes.
And the children didn't go through the death of another pet.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, when did Toes become ill, Mr. Laxon?
I came home on a Monday night after work and picking up the kids from school, and I saw him laying on the floor very still by the refrigerator, and I, nudged him a little bit with my foot. You okay, kitty, okay? And then I bent over.
How old was he?
Toes was probably only about 3.5 years old.
What did you do?
Well, when I bent down to rub him a little bit, make sure he was okay, I could see he was breathing. He opened up his eyes. I didn't move him, so right away, because Chris had worked with animals before, and I know she's pretty good authoritarian on cats, I called her up on the cell phone, and she called me back from work, and I said, can you please come over and look at him? I think he's dying. And she did. And then I said, I'd watch the kids, and she would take him to the vet. I said, please have him put down.
Why would you say that, Mr. Laxon? So far, up until now, quite frankly, I'm crazy about you. But why would you, before you even found out what was wrong with the cat, tell them to put the cat down? Maybe it just had indigestion.
Well, Honor, I've worked around animals a lot, being from the Midwest and Iowa, and that my cousin had a farm. I've never seen a cat or an animal like that being that sick, and knowing that the veterinarian bill would be rather expensive. We had a cat like that together in our marriage. He ended up being about $900.
But wasn't this cat part of your family? Lived indoors?
Yes, Your
It was
Honor.
with your children?
Yes,
Right?
Your Honor.
Right, Mr. Laxon, how do you explain that to your children?
Well, Your Honor, I realized that it was a very hard thing to do, a decision that had to be made.
Even before you knew what the vet said, you told her to put the cat down?
Yes, Your Honor.
You better hope that your children don't take the same approach with you when you get older. And they
Your
say,
Honor.
listen, I love my father and I love my mother, but, my mother took good care of me. She took good care of my cat. She spent whatever was necessary to take care of the cat. My father, on the other hand, said, listen, you're part of the family, we'll get another one. Put him down.
Well, Your Honor, I realized that being that expensive, the most important thing to me was always provide for my children first. $900 could go easy for clothes, food, a college fund, or, maybe even a couple more toys. I mean, another cat would actually be more cost effective. I do love animals very much. I love Toes.
Mr. Laxon, what you're saying is you can have an animal in your house for a substantial period of time, have an animal part of your household, and if it gets sick or if it requires expensive shots or something, you just say, listen, let's put this one down and get a new one, because I can use that money instead to pay for your college or to buy an extra pair of jeans or something. Why would I spend that on an animal that I can replace for nothing? Is that what I'm hearing, Mr. Laxon? That's what I'm hearing, sir.
I understand you're saying that. You can never replace love on an animal.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Laxon, and I guarantee you, if you gave your children the choice of whether they got an extra toy or whether their cat was given the medical assistance they needed, your children would say, take care of Toes.
That is correct. Unfortunately, being as young as they are, they don't always understand the necessary things it is to be an adult and make important decisions to run a household.
Well, I'm talking to you about making a decision that I believe is in the best emotional welfare of your children. Children can get along without another toy. They can even get along, without an additional jacket, or they can get along without expensive sneakers. But it takes a while for them to get over the loss of a pet, especially when they're aware of the fact that the pet could have been saved with money, even money that you may have to pay over a long period of time. I want to tell you something, Mr. Laxon. You're gathering from what I'm saying, sir, that you don't have my sympathy.
I understand, Your Honor.
Good. Okay, so you took the cat to the vet. And what happened, Mrs. Laxon?
Well, I originally met Henry and the children at the golf lessons, and he told me off to the side that the cat was laying on the floor dying. So I said, I'll come over to your house, because if it's dead, the kids won't be able to handle it, and I'll take care of the kids. I got there, the cat was still breathing, and I said, I'll take him to the vet. I have an open credit card. If you'll pay my credit card bill back, I'll be happy with that. It's a zero balance. I won't charge anything else to it. He said, okay. So I took my daughter, who was 7 at the time, with me to the vet. She waited while they took the cat. I called Henry and said, they're doing these tests on it. It's going to be about $300 for the tests. He said, okay. About 10-15 minutes later, they came back with the x-rays, the blood results, and they said, this is what's wrong with the cat.
What was wrong with the cat?
He had kidney problems, kidney infection. They weren't sure at first whether it was stones or kidney failure. He had blood in his kidneys, so they had to catheterize him. He was in the hospital for 5 days. Actually, he was in for 7 days. But I called him back and I said, this is going to run this much. It's going to be over $1,000 for the whole thing. What do you want me to do? He said, go ahead, we've already gone this far. I said, okay. So they took the cat. I took my daughter back to his house, picked up my son, and we left. Next day, from my understanding, Henry went down and visited the cats at the hospital. On Thursday, he called the vet. And on Friday, I went to pick up the children from his house. I said, how's the cat? Let me see him. He says, well, you should have put the cat down. I told you to do that. It's your bill. You're stuck with it. If you want the cat, he's at the vet still. I said, that was never our agreement. I took our daughter with us. I would never kill a cat with my daughter in the room. He said, well, it's your problem. So I called the vet. I picked the cat up on the Sunday. He's now home with me. He's had medical treatments. He's doing very well. He's 14 pounds, and he just loves us to death. He's like a little puppy.
How many cats do you have in your house now, Mr. Laxon?
I have 2, Your Honor.
And you?
I have 4 now. Mine are very old, 15 years old.
Is it true, Mr. Laxon, that your former wife took your daughter with her to the vet?
Yes, Your Honor, that is correct.
Were you there when she took your daughter to the vet?
I was at the house when she took the daughter to the vet, yes, Your Honor.
And you want me to believe that she took the cat to the vet with your daughter there and they were going there for the purpose of putting the cat down?
Yes, Your Honor, because that's what I had instructed her to do.
Okay. When she came back, Mr. Laxon, and you found out that she had not put the cat down, and it was your cat, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you pick up the phone and call the vet and tell the vet to put the cat down?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Why not, Mr. Laxon?
Because I depended on Chris to do that.
No. Listen, you just said to me, sometimes when you're a parent, you have to make hard decisions. And even though your children don't understand those hard decisions, that's what you have to do as a parent. So here, you gave an instruction to your former wife to put the cat down.
Yes, Your Honor.
Something that you could have done.
That's true.
Same way, you take your daughter and go to the vet and put the cat down. It's your cat, right?
You're right, Your Honor.
But you gave the cat to your wife with your instruction, according to you. Now, same day you found out that this is not what she's going to do. You had 2 options. You let her go ahead with it, or you call the vet and say, this is my cat, and I'm giving you an instruction to put the cat down. You chose not to do that. You pay the bill. How much is the bill?
The total bill was $1231.96.
Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Well, actually, I really think it was a bad choice on her part. This actually allows people to now raise bills on your case and then turn around and put you in the bill.
I'm pleased with it. She saw the honesty in me, and she saw that he wasn't telling the truth, and she saw that it was all about the children really more than anything else.
I think there was probably a little bit more involved. Before in the past, when I got child custody from her, she always said someday she'd try to get the money back, and I think this is her way to try.
Our custody is 50-50. I'm very happy with the way things are, and I thought he was too.
Life does happen like this. Animals get sick and die. There's nothing we can really do about it.
2189, Hernandez versus Vieira. All parties, please step forward.
Sofia Hernandez is suing her dog sitter, Cherie Vieira, for vet bills after her dog was injured during Cherie's care.
Miss Hernandez, how old is your puppy?
She's 6 months, Your Honor.
And when she was 4 months old, you needed a home sitter for your dog. Or
Yes.
You needed a place to board her for a weekend.
Yes.
Weekend. You live on an army base
A naval base.
Naval base. Does the defendant live on the base as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
And she approached you, whatever, and said that she was available for sitting. Is that what you do to make some extra money?
Yes, Your Honor.
And on the 22nd of December of last year, which is when this incident occurred, you dropped the dog off at the defendant's home.
December 16th.
Was the 16th?
Yes.
And when you dropped the puppy off at the defendant's home, she was in perfectly fine shape.
Yes.
She looked very sweet.
Thank you.
So what happened when she dropped the puppy off at your house? I want you to tell me something that I'm going to believe. That you and your mother were in the room with your 10-year-old sister, and you saw what happened with the dog. Just a second. I want you to make sure that that's what you're telling me.
Sofia Hernandez claims her dog sitter, Cherie Vieira, is responsible for vet bills after her dog Dolce was injured during Cherie's care.
Because Ms. Hernandez has an outstanding vet bill for surgery on the dog's leg, which was broken, while in your care.
Yes, Your Honor.
So why don't you tell me how that happened?
Miss Hernandez brought Dolce to our house. We took her in, and we had also another
Not
dog.
me. I want you to tell me, you. When you say you took her in, did you or somebody else?
It's a family effort. My children also help take care of the dogs. I started watching dogs because my youngest child was deathly afraid of dogs. She was bit by a dog at the age of 2. So we started this so she could learn how to take care of dogs properly, know their signs and things like that. And we took Dolce into my daughter's room.
Which daughter?
Into my youngest daughter's room.
Is that you?
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest. And how old is your youngest daughter?
She's 10.
Okay, so once you took her into your daughter's room, she was alone with the puppy?
No, all 3 of us were in the room. What we like to do is we...
No, I don't want you to tell me what you like to do. I want you to be consistent with what you put in your answer. You were all in your daughter's room?
Yes.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, ma'am.
Just 1 second. Okay. So your husband was with another dog in the yard?
Yes.
So I brought this dog into my daughter's room, your 10-year-old daughter's room, to settle down.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then you don't know what happened because you weren't watching.
I was actually...
No, you were not watching. That's what it says here.
Well, I was taking pictures.
It doesn't make any difference. You weren't watching. You don't know what happened. If you were taking pictures that would be on your camera.
I have pictures here of Dolce that I was actually sending to
No,
Ms.
I don't
Hernandez.
care. It would be on your camera if you were taking pictures. And if you were taking pictures, then you would have exactly what happened with the dog that caused the dog to have a broken leg. But you don't have those pictures. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So that you were not watching and you did not see what happened at the moment the dog was injured?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
But I do have a witness that I brought with me, my daughter, who actually did see as I was sending pictures to Ms. Hernandez.
You sure you want to do that? Are you sure you want to do that? Be very careful, Miss Vieira. Are you sure you want to put her there for me to question? Are you sure? Are you sure?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Your
I don't
Honor.
think so. But it's your choice. Let's go. I want you to tell me something that I'm going to believe. That you and your mother were in the room with your 10-year-old sister, and you saw what happened with the dog.
Yes.
Just a second. I want you to make sure that that's what you're telling me. So you were in the room?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Well, your first name is?
Abigail.
I'd like to see a picture of Abigail in the room with the dog when you were sending pictures, allegedly, to the plaintiff of the dog. I just want to see pictures of her in the room.
Your Honor, I did not make pictures of those.
Why not? She was there. You were taking pictures of the dog. I assume your 10-year-old's room is not the size of this courtroom. So if you were taking pictures, Abigail would be in those pictures.
Your Honor, I actually have a picture of her leg after I was bit by Dolce.
I don't care after you were bit by Dolce. You were bit by the puppy because she was injured.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, that was after she was injured.
Yes.
I want to see a picture of your daughter that you were taking pictures of, allegedly to send to the plaintiff to show her how the dog was adjusting.
I do not have pictures of that.
Right, yeah. Miss Vieira, do you want to know the truth? I don't believe you were in the room with your daughter, either one of them, and the puppy. I think that you left the puppy with your 10-year-old, and you don't know what happened. That's what I believe. And whether I believe, and it's accurate or not accurate, the dog was injured in your care. So you're responsible for the surgical bill. It's that simple. Dog got a broken leg in your care with enough adults there to watch the dog. Your husband, the older daughter, and you put her in the room with your 10-year-old because you thought it would be cute. Your 10-year-old wanted to play with her. That's what happened. Can I see the vet bill, please?
Yes, Your Honor. I have the urgent care bill and the surgery bill as well.
So the invoice was $58.18?
For the surgery.
And $862. $66.08, judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
You know, I'm happy because those vet bills are really high. You know, it's not something that you could take on at the time.
I was in the room with the dog. The dog jumped from the floor, and it was a freak accident. But
my dog was healthy, you know. She had just been at the vet. She's gotten her shots. She was healthy.
I still don't know. I researched online. I think maybe that the dog already had an injury prior. She was at my house 25 minutes.
I would never drop off my dog like that.
She jumped up to retrieve a toy out of my daughter's hand from the floor, a fluffy carpet, and she landed and cried.
With a pre-existing condition, I would watch her myself.
About 3 minutes after, I called her mom to let her know that she was hurt, injured.
You know, my heart dropped. You know, I was upset we didn't go on the trip, but just my baby. Turned around.
She wanted to know how bad it was because she wanted to go on her trip, and I told her it was bad enough for her dog to bite me.
We took her straight to the urgent care.
I asked her to come back to get her dog. I didn't want to move the dog, so she came back and had us bring the dog out.
She had a fractured leg.
Freak accident. Kind of feel like, I don't know. It wasn't fair.
They didn't give me one. They just ignored my messages asking for payment.
I'm glad the dog's okay.
Dilta's great. Her leg is healed. She's on a recovery program.
So, no issue? Simple. Dog didn't break its leg itself? You know, common sense dictates to me that they brought the puppy in to play with the 10-year-old. Otherwise, they would have had photographs of the other daughter in the room. It didn't happen, but it really doesn't matter.
No bad intentions, no, you know, nothing was done on purpose, but...
No, but it was negligent. Sure. Because if you allow a 10-year-old...
If a dog breaks a leg, it doesn't break it on its own. Yeah.
It's your fault.
Courtney Friend is suing her former friend, Joseph T. Ivan Jr., for stealing money from her deceased husband's bank account.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2190, Friend versus Ivy Jr.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Friend, your husband passed away recently.
Yes.
When did he pass?
August 26, 2022.
What did he pass away from?
He took his own life.
You have kids?
I have one. I have a daughter. She's 7 months old. She was born June 14th, 2022.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
It is your claim that Mr. Ivan, after your husband's death, withdrew money from your husband's bank account. Was that a joint bank account or his own bank account?
It was under his, but
So it was his name?
Yes.
So it was his bank account?
It was.
Did you also have a joint bank account?
We just shared that one. I wasn't working, and I'm not working. He is sole provider of our family.
So the bank account was in his name solely?
Yes.
Okay. How do you know the defendant?
We met in 2020. We worked together at Target, and that's my husband and I, and also the defendant.
So you worked there?
Yes.
Did you become social friends?
Yes.
And at some point, Mr. Ivan says that your husband needed money, that he was in some sort of difficulty with rent money.
Okay.
That's what Mr. Ivan says. In what month, Mr. Ivan, do you claim that you loaned money to Mr. Friend?
Mr. Whalen is his name.
Whalen.
Yeah, Michael and I are best friends from the day that we met. By the way, just hit it off right away. So this gentleman would come to me and
just tell me.
Vice versa.
Just tell me.
The money we're talking about, August 17th, 2022.
And was the conversation about the money in your house?
Yes.
In your house?
Yes.
I'd like you to tell me what that conversation was.
Absolutely. Michael showed up at my door on August 17th. He needed money, and he needed away from the plaintiff.
Just a second.
Uh-huh.
Don't tell me what he needed. Tell me what he said to you.
His rent is very far behind, and he would like to borrow $1,500.
Did you ask him why?
Of course.
And what did he say?
Rent.
No. Why his rent was so far behind?
Oh, not exactly. He stayed with me for the next 2 days, so we had a lot of conversation about it.
Okay, so when he came on August 17th, he did not stay home with his wife and the new baby. He stayed with you for how many days?
For 2 that week.
You and your husband been having a difficult time?
We were the last couple weeks before his ending.
And he did in fact stay out. Did you know where he was staying?
No, I did not.
Okay, but you knew he was out.
Yes, I had asked him to leave.
Okay. Now, his rent in his house where his wife and his baby were was overdue.
Yes, Your Honor.
And he needed $1,500 according to you, so what did you do?
I gave him the $1,500.
Mrs. Friend, in June, July, August, was your husband working?
Yes.
Same job?
He was working with Burlington, so yes.
Did your husband have any problems that you know of with either drugs or gambling?
I didn't know at the time.
But do you know now? Yes. What kind of problems did he have?
He was struggling with use of cocaine.
Okay, so that would account for his need for money and also for problems. Your husband was a young man. Did he have any life insurance?
He did, yes.
He did. How much?
It was, oh my goodness, it was $200,000.
Did the company pay on his life insurance? No, because he committed suicide?
Oh, it wasn't that. It was, he had lapsed his payment. So I think his last payment was, I believe, in May. And he did not pay it. So because of that, they did not.
It lapsed?
Yeah.
It might not have been effective anyway since he took his own life. Okay, so you lent him $1,500. And how did you repay yourself and when?
Your Honor, I'd like to point out that she was very well aware of the fact that he was using cocaine for the better part of the year.
Just a second.
Okay.
Mr. Ivan, not necessary.
Okay. I repeat myself because that was our agreement. Michael was at my house a week later also. He logged onto my phone because he no longer had any belongings. He no longer had a physical wallet or a phone in his possession. He lost them. Miss Friend had his wallet, but I can show you that later. For now, he's asking me if he can put his memorized information on my digital wallet, which I can show you now if you'd like.
Yes.
It's still on my phone to this day.
His information?
Correct.
Okay.
With the agreement...
Just a second. I could understand you taking back the $1,500 because you say that was his agreement with you, as was sort of buttressed by the fact that he put his banking information on the card. But why would you transfer any other money other than the $1,500 out of his account?
Courtney Friend claims her former friend, Joseph T. Ivan Jr., wrongfully took money from her deceased husband's bank account.
I want you to bring that up.
Yeah.
And Sarah, you're going to take a look at that?
It's the top card, sir. The one that says Chime. That's my digital wallet, my personal digital wallet.
So it's the same as when you put something in your Apple Wallet and you can pay using, I'm trying to think of the easiest way to describe this to you. If you log in to check your bank balance, you can save the card to your phone, so it makes it easier to pay with your phone. So it looks as if Mr. Friend logged in to the defendant's phone with his credentials and information.
So that
There's also latest transactions. The very last transaction was from 10/1/22.
And how much was that for?
$80 at a market. Then there's some gas stations.
That's for October. Prior to that,
there's a list of just latest transactions.
That's all those are the total transactions.
Yeah.
That you made?
Well,
just a second. There's an $80 transaction according to Sarah in October.
Yes, ma'am. So the way
was that your transaction?
It was.
Okay.
I have.
Well, just.
I'm sure they'll match with whatever.
$236 worth of charges. I charged $236 worth of
from
charges.
my husband's passing till.
Hold on. Hold. Well, I have $80 in October, but in transfer to, who is that?
That is
$1,400.
That is the deceased.
Who transferred that?
I transferred it. That is a GoFundMe account. And we'll get to this. The check that came through after he passed away hit my phone because he loaded his card onto my phone. The agreement was that I pay myself back when he was still alive with the funds that are on that phone.
Just a second.
The remaining I sent to a GoFundMe account.
Why did you do that? Just a second. I can almost understand Mr. Ivan.
Yeah.
Because what your position is, and I actually believe that it's accurate that your friend came to you.
100%.
That your friend came to you in need of money, that he and his wife were having difficulty, that he had an addiction problem, that he probably spent the rent money on his addiction problem. All of that sort of makes sense. And even though resorting to self-help after he passed, I would frown on. I would say this is a debt that's owed by his estate. And I could understand you, who had access to his account, taking back the $1,500 because you say that was his agreement with you, as was sort of buttressed by the fact that he put his banking information, and it's his sole banking information, on the card. But why would you transfer any other money other than the $1,500 out of his account?
Into his family's name, Your Honor, and I can show you why. I have transcripts with everyone that knows us. I could have a dozen people here. I'm sorry, I could have a dozen people here with me to make this claim, but this is a very sensitive situation for a lot of people involved. So I'm going to fight this fight on my own without them here.
Just a second.
And they will all tell you that this is the last person on earth that should have that money.
Just a second. This is not about you making a judgment or about 30 other people making
That's what Michael asked
just
me
a
to do.
second. Sir, unless you have a writing from the deceased that's authenticated in the same process as would authenticate a will, you have no right to make that judgment as to whether or not his wife and or child, I assume he died without a will, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So under the laws of practically every state, if you die intestate, which means you die without a will, there's a certain order of people who inherit your money. Your spouse, your children, it goes sort of in order, because there's a pecking order. You have no right to amend that. You actually don't even have a right to repay yourself after he's dead. You have no right to do that, but I could actually understand your sense that unless you paid yourself, you weren't going to get your money back. I could understand that, but whatever your intentions were, sir, you have no right to do anything else with the money in that bank account.
May I?
Am I making myself clear? I hope so. Is that clear? Yeah.
Brought me right back to Will's Trust and Estates. So.
Yeah, right. Go ahead.
Your Honor, Michael and I had an agreement, okay? So whether or not...
Sure, just a second. You and Michael had an agreement that you made a loan to him in the amount of $1,500, and in order to secure your repayment, I read your answer, sir.
Yeah.
He gave you his account number, and according to you, he said, when I get paid, you can take the money back that you loaned me. That's $1,500.
May I continue? I've only used $236. That's all that I've used. $236, and I can show you the math here on this spreadsheet, but let's start with $1,500. $845 he paid back to me on August 24th, a week later.
Oh, okay, hold on a second. So, $1,500.
That's right.
And he paid you back what?
$845 on August 24th.
Good for him.
Right.
Did he pay you back by Michael? Just listen to me. Don't play. Did he pay you back by coming to your house and giving you the money, or
digitally?
He paid you back digitally.
That's right.
May I see that, please, Kevin?
Using my phone.
So now he owes you $655.
That's right.
Okay. Kevin, I'd like you to show this to the plaintiff. Have you seen this?
No.
Okay, I'd like to show this to the plaintiff. So Mr. Ivan acknowledges that your husband, Miss Friend, pay attention, that your husband paid him back more than half of what he had borrowed. Now, then you took back, Mr. Ivan, from the account, how much money?
$236.
No, that's not true.
Shh.
We can go line by line.
Shh.
That's a debit, not a credit.
He sent the $1,400 from Michael
to the
found the money over.
Oh, just a second. You can't do that, sir.
I have a baby.
Listen to me. You were there. You provided a shelter for Michael.
To get away
when
from
he
her.
was...
That's right. I'm sorry. I'll stop.
Courtney Friend has accused her former friend, Joseph T. Ivan Jr., of stealing money from her deceased husband's bank account.
Which of these charges? There's an $80 charge, a $60. Are those your charges?
Yes.
Okay, hold on.
$140.
Just a second. $145.
Yes.
A $77.35.
Yes, and that's it. Those 4.
What about Cash App?
That's the digital transaction that you just had.
Oh, an $845. Got it.
I'm still owed $390.
Okay. Now, how much money do you allege, and I'm going to give this to you, or give you, you must have this. How much money do you allege that he took out of the account?
I'm asking for $2,700.
I don't care what you're asking for. That's irrelevant to me what you're asking for. How much money do you allege he took out of the account?
I think he took way more than what he's saying.
Oh, well, I don't care what you think.
It's proof right there.
I don't. Other than the $1,400, which he says he transferred to the GoFundMe page, did you receive for your daughter any part of this $1,400 that came from a GoFundMe page?
I have not, no.
Okay. Just a second. Okay. But the GoFundMe page was subsequent to your husband's death. Is that right?
Yeah.
Who started the GoFundMe page?
It was my husband's.
So this money did not belong to your husband. This money was not money from your husband. This money was started by somebody else, not the defendant, and somehow ended up in your husband's bank account. Am I getting that right?
No.
Well, what's this 14? How did it end
I
up?
transferred it from. That's Michael's bank account ledger. It's attached to my digital wallet.
I understand.
And it's going to the GoFundMe. A GoFundMe is a special account that's set up in a tragic. Or well,
I know exactly what it is, but what I'm not following is why would it not be in this?
It is. He's saying that that is a to, not a receiving.
That's a debit, not a credit.
He sent the $1,400 from Michael's
to the
account.
Oh, just a second. Oh, you can't do that. Sorry, sir. You can't do that. So you took out money that didn't belong to you because at best case scenario, you're still owed $400.
$392.
Yeah, okay, $400. You were still owed $400, and you withdrew $1,400 of Michael's money and sent it to the GoFundMe page.
Yeah, because of the fact that the last person on earth that Michael would want to have that money is this person right
That's not your judgment to make, sir.
That's fine.
Just a second. That's not, listen to me. I tried to explain to you what the laws of intestacy are in this country. If you die without a will, there are certain people who get your money, whether the deceased hates them, wasn't talking to them, it doesn't make any difference unless he and his wife are separated by a lawful separation order by the court. She and his daughter are entitled to this money, and it's not up to his best friend or his best friend's friends or other people to say he was angry with her, she threw him out. Whatever the reason that you're saying Michael would want the last person to receive any money from this GoFundMe page is the The plaintiff, that's not your decision to make. You took back some of your own money. He paid you back some. You may get skunked for $400.
I don't want it.
Just a second. You may get skunked for $400. But if you sent this money to a GoFundMe page and that was $1,400
For the family's name, Your Honor.
you can't do that.
That's fine. I did it because Michael would not want her to have it, so I gave it to his family.
Okay, well, you can't do that, sir.
I have a baby.
I'm not faulting you emotionally, sir.
Yeah.
Listen to me. You were there. You provided a shelter for Michael
To get away
when
from
he was.
That's right. I'm sorry. I'll stop. That's a fact. It's just the truth.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,400. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
It doesn't matter. The woman's a fraud. She's a fraud. That money should not be going to her. She's the last person on earth that this gentleman wanted to have that money.
I'm happy. I'm happy that she sided with me, listened to me, and
Oh, that's all she cares about is money. That's what this is all about.
knew that that was not right, because it's not. I mean, what kind of person would
Courtney's out for money. Always was in the relationship.
take money from a new mom, someone who's grieving? It's been such a mess, and I feel good about this.
Because I'm the only one who would do the right thing with it, and he knew that.
He was very defensive. He was very defensive and very hateful.
I'm the great guy. He'd want me to fight the good fight. All good.
He shouldn't have took anything from me. I've already lost so much.
Happy it's over.
I've lost my best friend, my husband, the love of my life, and the father of our new child. It's not okay. He caught me in a very vulnerable state.
That case, for as tragic as it was, and I really felt for the plaintiff, brought me right back to Will's Trust and Estates and the basic, 3 rules: age of majority, of sound mind, and a writing. And it's just really unfortunate that the plaintiff's husband didn't have one.
If I were to venture a guess, I would say that most people, when they're under 40, don't have a will.
Yeah.
He was a new father, baby.
Makes it all that much more important.
Yeah, it does, but he was a new father with a cocaine addiction.
Yeah. Tough to try and guess the mental state of someone going through that, but I also agreed with you that you can't fault the defendant for his emotional. He knew how his friend felt, and he was trying to carry out those wishes, but there is the law and there are rules, and you can't take it upon yourself to redistribute your friend's money.
Or the GoFundMe money. Yeah.
All good intention, but you gotta follow the rules.
Kamar Jalil is suing his former roommates, Katie Calderon and Amante Nepomuceno, for rent and the cost of 2 cats.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Case 2170, Jalil versus Calderon Nepomuceno.
Thank you. Oh, my goodness. Calderon.
Hello.
What's your first name?
Amante.
Amante.
Yeah.
Good. It's much easier than your last name for me to pronounce. Mr. Giulio, this roughly is what the case is about. You and Miss Calderon were in a relationship for a period of time. You decided to take an apartment. You were both on the lease. So far, correct?
Correct.
Your arrangement with Miss Calderon, which seems to be consistent in both your complaint and your answer, is that you had a much better paying job. She was going to provide the food and some other stuff for the house, and you were going to be covering the rent when you lived together, which you did.
Correct.
There came a time when Armante, who was a friend of yours, came to live with you. According to you, he was going to help out with the rent.
Correct.
He came, he lived with you, he helped out with the rent for maybe a period of time, and then he helped himself to your girlfriend.
Correct.
Now they're a couple. When you were no longer a couple with Miss Calderon, she stayed in the apartment for a period of time, but then they both left.
Correct.
And you're suing both of them for rent and for the return of 2 cats that they took when they left. You claim the cats are yours.
That's correct.
That's what the case is about. And some cat expenses in the event that I let them keep the cat. Cats. 2 cats. So when did you and Miss Calderon sign a lease together?
We signed the lease together at the end of July with the landlord present.
July of 2022?
July of 2021. Correct.
And it was for a year?
Correct.
And you had a job working for whom, sir?
I worked for a company called Steris.
What do they do?
They provide medical equipment to hospitals all over the world.
How long have you been working for them?
I'm going to have 8 years under my belt this year.
And when you moved into the apartment in July of 2021, what kind of work was Miss Calderon doing?
At the time, she was working at an animal hotel.
It was a pet daycare boarding facility.
Okay. Were you an hourly employee?
I was an hourly employee.
And I am correct that when you moved in July, your arrangement was that you were going to pay the rent.
That was
the arrangement.
Correct.
When did Armante come to live with you?
About August to...
That's
incorrect.
He... Amante was going to be our third roommate.
You mean 1, 2, 3?
Correct.
Well, you're not roommates, really. You and the defendant, Miss Calderon, were not roommates. You shared a room.
We shared a room and
Armante was going to live where?
In another room.
And what was your arrangement with Armante with regard to paying rent?
We would split the rent 3 ways.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And how much was your share of the rent?
I would say approximately $9.27.
How long did you live there?
I was there when they signed the lease. I watched it all happen when they signed the lease. I came in, they signed everything.
Well, you didn't sign the lease.
I did not.
But you were there from the beginning?
Yes.
And it was your agreement with the plaintiff that you would pay a third of the rent?
Yes.
Great.
We asked the landlord
to. So, hey, try not to hold each other's hands. Let's do the coochie someplace else. So you agreed with the plaintiff that despite the fact that you were not on the lease, you were going to assume the responsibility of a third of the rent, $927.
Yes.
So you moved in July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. You left in April?
Yeah.
So you were there for 9 months?
Yes.
Did you pay rent for the 9 months?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
He paid rent for about the 7.5 months.
Okay. And then you left?
Yes.
Why did you leave?
I decided to leave because he decided to go to another place he was offered. So
what do you mean he decided to go to another place?
He got a place from his grandparents in another city. So I couldn't hold down the rent with her. So I decided to leave to save money and go back to my parents' house.
Now, Mr. Jalil, you see, you don't make up a story like that, like he just told me. A lot of that has the ring of truth to it. Where are you living now?
My grandparents' house in an in-law unit.
So when did you tell them that you were going to a different place?
In March.
When did you leave?
I left in July.
Did you let him know that you were staying until the end of the lease? I what?
I discussed with them that I would be leaving, but I would stick around to help them find either a different location or even suggesting that we all went back to our respective families just to, call it.
Mr. Jalil, this isn't working for you. I have to tell you something, sir. This case is not working for you at all. And it's only because Mr. Amante is very direct with me that you're suing them for $10,000. Where does that come from in your mind? Your agreement with her was you were going to pay the rent. We're never out of pocket. Your agreement was you were going to pay the rent. He paid his rent when he was there. He paid his 1/3. You then told them you were leaving. That's a whole different story than what you wrote in your complaint, Mr. Giulio. Do you understand?
Correct.
It's a whole different story. So, at best, Armante would owe you for 3 months' rent if they just left. But you told them that you were leaving. Now, when did you find out that they were a couple?
I found out at the end of April.
Were you all living together?
Yes.
So you just had 2 months left to the lease. So he was paying you. He paid you in March. You had May, June. You signed the lease in July, so it was over at the end of June, June 30th.
It would have been over at the end of July, Your Honor.
Well, she doesn't owe you any money for rent. At most, he owes you 2 months' rent. Tell me why you left.
My job doesn't pay that well, so I decided to go back to my parents' house.
When you took this apartment, this expensive apartment that was almost $3,000 a month rent, had you had a discussion with Armande about moving in with you before?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Jalil, I'm reading your complaint because something wasn't registering right with me. You say you moved into the apartment together in August of 2021. Then you go through a whole bunch of stuff about a cat and then another adopted cat. You said in October we adopted a second cat. Around this same time, a third roommate moved in to shoulder some of the rent. Well, that's not true. He moved in right at the beginning.
And that was...
That was what?
That was...
A mistake.
That was a mistake.
Okay, but Armande acknowledges that he agreed right at the beginning. He volunteered the fact that he was there at the lease signing because it was agreed at the lease signing that he was going to pay a third of the rent. So, sir, you owe him rent as long as you show me that you've paid the rent. You moved out in July?
Yes.
And you paid your rent through July, or were you evicted?
No, I paid my rent in July.
Through July?
Yes.
Okay. 1854. Armande, you owe him $1,854. That's for 2 months' rent. Got it? Or I'm not subtracting anything because you stole his girlfriend. That's fair. What were you requesting when you filed your small claims case?
Either the return of both cats or $5,000.
That's not happening for you, Mr. Jalil.
Kamar Jalil claims his former roommates, Katie Calderon and Amante Nepomuceno, are wrongfully keeping his cats and owe him rent money.
Now let's deal with the issue with the cats. She doesn't owe you any rent. That was not your agreement with her. You moved out in July, August, September, October, November, December. 5 months ago, she's had both cats, right? She says they're her cats. When did you first file a small claims case?
September of 2022.
What were you requesting when you filed your small claims case? Careful.
I was requesting either the return of both cats or $5,000.
Judy.